Hello and welcome to the Jamie and Stephen show. Let's talk movies, music, and magic. And I'm back.
Yes, we're back together. The
Yeah,
team's back.
did you miss me?
Yes, we did miss you.
Yeah.
So those of you who aren't
That didn't
aware,
sound convincing. Hang on. Yeah, of course we did. Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
it was different, as Ross would say.
Different.
No, of course you were Miss Stephen, and we did, speak about you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So if you don't know what we're on about, last week we did a bonus episode on Don Bluth, and we had a guest because Stephen was on the episode. I went solo, so and I had my sister on.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, and she loved it, and obviously she'd love to come back. So
Yeah.
of course we're gonna have her back. But this time the three of us will be on.
Well, I might not be available. My calendar is extremely full.
Oh, but you know what? Um, I listened back on it um after we recorded it, and yeah, it we sound so alike. So for those of you that have listened to it, I apologize. It's not our fault. We can't help it. But yeah, we are sisters, so hopefully you will have been able to tell us apart. But like we said right at the beginning, it'll be like
An echo.
the well, yeah, an echo, or like me talking to myself, like in Finding Nemo when the what's the character when she's in the fish tank and she's going, Hi Flo.
Oh, flow it, yeah.
Yeah. And it's her reflection. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we're back together for another special episode to recap
Yes.
on um the last few films that we've done. So since Mary Poppins, because we did a recap before that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And if you've been following us or if you haven't been following us, it's a good opportunity just to catch up where we're at.
Yeah, if
What
you're
I
not,
thought.
if you want to dive right into where we're at now, it gives you the chance to sort of um know how we feel without if you don't have the time yet to go back and listen to the full episodes. Um then yeah. So let's start with Mary Poppins now.
No, you've said it wrong.
Have I?
Yeah. It's pronounced Mary Poppins.
Oh yeah, Mary Poppins. Oh yeah. It was our first one we did over Zoom actually.
It was, and it was in two parts. It was
I
so
know
long.
because it was so long.
Yes.
But it's because there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff and facts and to do with the writer and Walt Disney and because obviously this was that was his last sort of you know big project that he was proud of before he passed, I think, which
Yeah,
is why
yeah.
we wanted to do it. Even though it's not someone's particular favorite.
No, no, it's not. I
So, what was your score again, Stephen?
My score was a very justified and generous 2 out of 5.
People are going to be swearing when they
Hey,
hear
I have not been cancelled yet.
that. Oh, I think you will be now.
I don't know. I weren't the one who did a Disney podcast about Don Bluth. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say.
People are gonna love that episode.
I my hands are nowhere near it.
To be fair, I'm surprised I've not been canned. Oh no, wait, we've not got to Jungle Book yet. That's when I might get cancelled when I reveal what my score was on that one.
Oh, I thought that was
Anyway,
part of the last lot, but okay.
yeah, no, it's yeah, it was this. It's next.
Oh, you might have to remember my score for me.
Oh, Stephen. Right, so yeah, Mary Poppins, I gave it a 4. And yeah, no, I'm not going to change it. It's not my favorite, which I did say in the podcast episodes. Because we both say we prefer bed knobs. But, you know, having watched it, and I did like a proper marathon as well. I watched Saving Mr. Banks, Mary Poppins, and then Mary Poppins Returns. I mean, I went all out.
You really did
And
that. You wouldn't catch me doing that. Saving Mr. Banks is a good film, though. I will say that.
yeah, very good. And yeah, no, I mean, I did it with my mom because it's one of her favorites, and we had a good, afternoon watching it, and the boys were just playing in the background and whatnot. But yeah, I think it's not my favorite, and but at the same time, there's a lot to like. Well, I felt there was a lot to like. I think one of the issues I had with it was that it was too long because it's
It
like
was
over two
very
hours.
long.
It's
They
over
could
two
have
hours.
cut an hour out of that film,
Yeah.
and it would not be, well, it wouldn't be any better, but it wouldn't be any worse.
Um, but I ended up, because it was the first time I properly watched it that afternoon. I ended up preferring the sequel. I thought actually that was slightly better, and I thought Emily Blunt was a really good Mary Poppins.
See, I watched that on the plane to somewhere, probably Vegas, and oh God, that film never ends.
You
Like,
said this.
yeah, they had an ending, and then they continued a bit longer. Then they sing a song about like, and then they go and meet,
Lady.
oh, Angela. Her surname is literally on the tip of my tongue.
Lansbury.
Lansbury, thank you. I wanted to say Angela Bassett. That is what I was like, it's not Angela Bassett. Come on.
No, no.
Um, and then they sing another song about balloons, and I was like, come on, just end the film, end it. And then there's a little scene at the end. It's like, come on. It's like it was an 11-hour flight, and this film took up most of it. But anyway,
Oh,
that was the sequel.
yeah. But yeah, so obviously you are still happy with your score.
I am. I don't think it deserves any less than a 2. I will say that. I don't think it's awful. I
Okay.
just don't like it.
Okay.
It's
Well,
too long. It's a bit drab. It's just
there's
not
not a
for
lot
me.
that you do like, so yeah.
I that is my. Oh no, there's a few twos. Never mind. Carry
Yes.
on. I was like, that's my only 2 of this entire thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe not.
Um, right, so next up, the Jungle Book. So obviously, we wanted to start that new block of episodes with, you know, uh, although obviously you don't particularly like it, but it was still a positive start because, we gave it 2 episodes and it was Walt's baby. It was like, this was his little like masterpiece
Hmm.
that he had been part of way, way, way before when he was getting the rights to the book. But then obviously Jungle Book is, the film that, you know, he is involved with a couple of others after it, but he saw almost this finish, but
Yeah.
unfortunately passed before it was complete. So we wanted to start the block with something a bit positive because we knew that we were going to come to, this really sad point in the history of the company where the main man himself, passes so suddenly because it hadn't been that long when he got the diagnosis to when he died, which is just so sad. And he was definitely taken away too early.
Mm.
But yeah, so the Jungle Book, what was your score?
A little bit higher than yours.
Yes. Oh,
I continue to have fans. No, I um I gave it a 3.5.
okay.
That was my score for this one. I
Mm.
thought that it was essentially Disney. I thought it had a lot of fun characters and songs. I thought overall it was a good but standard film. What I didn't like was the opening, which seems to go on for what feels like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, the beginning, the opening credits.
And the fact that you don't really see Baloo,
I know
there's no fun characters,
until,
Baloo
yeah,
basically.
yeah.
And Car, I suppose, but
Well, to those that, that will be very shocked to hear I gave it a 2.
mhm.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I was worried that I was being harsh, but I think the reason it feels harsh is because this one is got a lot of hype around it, I feel. And I think I did say this in the episode, a certain age group
Yeah,
definitely raves this one and often compares current um Disney movies to it, which I just think is so wrong and they shouldn't be comparing it because A, times have changed, B, the quality of animation has gotten a million times better. Um and yeah, ultimately the truth is I just feel that, yeah, like you said, it really doesn't get fun until Baloo comes into the picture. And there is only two good songs, but yet when people describe the film to somebody who maybe hasn't seen it a while or hasn't seen it at all, you're led to believe that it's got a really good soundtrack.
it has got a good soundtrack.
Oh, it's just two good songs.
Trust in Me.
When I say two good songs, are you going to put that on, though?
No, you're right. I don't have that on my playlist. I have
Exactly.
I Want to Be Like You and The Bare Necessities. I do
Yeah,
have them on my
but
playlist.
are you going to dance around your living room with your fake Beatles voice and do, the and when you're do, 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 do. I couldn't
That's
remember the
what
words.
friend but that's what friends are for.
Yeah, exactly. And then do your impression of that's what friends. That's as deep as I can go.
Like, do you know what? I may surprise you. Hang on, hang on. That's what friends are for.
Oh, well, you managed to get deeper than me.
Yes. Moving on from the innuendo, let's go
uh,
to the
yeah, no,
original.
I'm sticking by my 2.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like, I don't, I didn't really like Mowgli. Like, I was glad he was going back to that man village.
Yeah.
He's a little brat.
It's like
Yeah.
I do you know what? I stick by the 3.5. I think if I was to watch the film again, I don't know whether it would still be a 3.5. I think it'd just be a three.
Mm,
But it, I don't know. I once Baloo comes into it, I enjoy it. I enjoy it so much.
okay.
It's just that bit before. Like, if it wasn't for that bit before, I think it would be, a
Hmm.
4 out of 5. So
Yeah.
it's just that early bit.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on before the haters come and hate on me.
Yeah.
Um, Aristocats. I gave this a 3 out of 5.
See, I went in for 3.5.
Yeah.
I,
Um,
when we
go.
kind of did it, I think we both thought it was very middle of the road.
Yeah.
There was nothing bad about it. There was nothing exceptional.
Hmm.
Um, but we did like the idea of doing a Rescue Rangers style remake,
Yes, we did.
and I still stand by that.
Yeah, me too. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, we know that they weren't like they didn't go out of their way to get the correct um the what's the word I'm looking, because there's a lot of oh my God, I've lost words. Um they don't try and get anyone who's from France except Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Who's not from France? She's from Hungary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Zsa Zsa Gabor? It is, isn't it?
No,
No, it is. It does
rescuers,
Miss
witches.
Bianca. Yeah,
Eva. Eva.
Eva
The Eva
Gabor.
Gabor.
Is it Eva Gabor or Zsa Zsa? Oh my God. I have to go back on my notes.
You know what? It is. It's a late night. I'm not gonna lie. It's with
Am I there? Yes. Duchess, Eva Gabor. Yes, Miss
Eva.
Bianca. Yeah,
Yes.
we're right. We're right. Um,
I think we
yeah.
need to stop, grab a coffee, wake up.
Yeah, apart from her, no one else is French.
Yeah.
And the period that it seems to be set in doesn't match some of the characterizations and the music and things like that. And, obviously, like, although they are funny, Lafayette and, oh, what's the other one? The two dogs
Yes. Yeah.
actually, which I think we've mentioned this in the episode, they have no
No.
effect on the story whatsoever. They're
No.
actually pointless, but they've been put in for humor.
Well, they were put in, and then their part was extended, which is the whole reason Edgar goes back for the hat.
Yeah, because I think people now point out, why would you go back for that hat?
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid because didn't do DNA testing back then.
No.
So he would have had nothing to worry about. And he's clearly gone a really long way away.
Unless his name was written in. Maybe his mum signed his name in.
Still, though, I mean, the chances of him being, because it's like out in the countryside, they're in like central Paris.
Yeah, I
But obviously some of the, look, they're just
can't.
little issues. They don't spoil the film, but yeah, I mean, but we know that time, Walter died,
Yeah.
and they were still grieving and at a loss and how to work without them.
Well, this originally was going to be a two-part TV series, and actually
Yeah,
looking back, I can actually think, do you know what? It feels like a Disney Channel movie,
yeah,
like
yeah,
one of those where it's good. It's not
yeah,
exceptional. It's not
yeah,
crap. It's just good.
yeah. And again, it's another one where people remember it better.
Mm.
And they often say that it's one of their favorites, but if they were to really sit down and watch it, could they honestly say that it's as good as they make it out? And again, it's one of those, like the Jungle Book, I think people compare. It's not that it shouldn't be up there. And there are a lot of good things to take from this film, but ultimately, no, it's not amazing.
It, I mean, the thing that annoys me about the film is the fact that Marie is
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah,
Like, it just really annoys me. Like,
yeah,
no one, no one ever says that this film is their favorite. Like, no one's coming to this saying that. And yet she is put on merchandise after
yeah.
merchandise after merchandise every
uh,
single year. There's ornaments, there's pins, and it's like I don't get that.
yeah. No, I agree. It borders on like Stitch, that sort of level,
Yeah, I mean,
almost.
but I also with Stitch, I get because of what kind of character he is. It's a fun character, whereas Marie's just a mardy brat.
Oh yeah, she's a spoiled brat.
And the thing is, there's so many more characters that could be used in that merchandise.
Yeah.
That yeah. Anyway,
So we're sticking with our scores then.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, on that one. Um, right, Robin Hood.
Mm.
I gave this a 3.5 out of 5.
I gave this a 4.
Yeah.
I, I mean, this probably one of the first Disney films that I ever saw because I had it on um, VHS. I can pretty much say that it wasn't an official VHS, but I had it nonetheless. Um, and this was the one I was worried that nostalgia was gonna make me kind of look at this through like rose tinted glasses.
hmm
So I sat and watched this with a like right, I'm going to make this as negative as possible,
Yeah.
and then at least I know I'm being fair to it. And yeah, I thought it was funny. I thought it was fun. I thought it was brilliantly casted. I thought, the music didn't need to be any more than it was.
Mhm.
I just thought it was just a spot on 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm just looking back on my notes. One of the things that I couldn't believe, that obviously I didn't really notice as a kid, is like the opening credits, albeit it's fun to watch, especially compared to the Jungle Book opening credits. But it almost spoils the film, almost gives the story away.
Mm.
And it really annoyed me because I have seen this film so many times, but and I sat down and I watched it and I thought, oh my God, like they're almost giving away the ending. I mean, you're seeing them with like being chased and in the chains,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, why did they do that? Um, yeah, but no, I mean, I enjoy it. It's got a lot more, I think, um, like comedy wise, this is good.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay, it doesn't really have a soundtrack, but it's got good characters. I love the take on, the Robin. I mean, I've always enjoyed the Robin Hood story, and I'll watch anybody's version of it.
Mm.
And it's one of those that I think, is used um in so many different ways, stealing from the rich and helping the poor. Even to that to now, to our
Yeah.
current time, you know, we need a Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Um,
That's Jamie condoling violence and stealing.
ah, quick, run out and get your bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Ah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, just again, I'm like scanning my notes and I've put it is funny and like Hiss, um, especially like Hiss and Prince John. I mean, their scenes are really good. Um, and yeah, the fact that the real villain is, I thought, was the sheriff, not really Prince John
Yeah.
at all. He was just a bit of a buffoon. Um, but do you know what? I think I might change my score
Ooh. Higher or lower?
because looking at my notes, I don't really know why I gave it a 3.5. I'm going to change it to a 4.
Yeah. Yay. So there we
But
go,
yeah,
fans. I didn't manage to change her mind on the Jungle Book, but we've got an extra point on Robin Hood. Half a point.
yeah, yeah. I really don't know why I gave it a 3.5. I mean, maybe if I re-listen to that episode, I might know. But no, rereading my notes, I am going to change my score to, obviously unofficially, because like,
Episode's out there now. No, no need
yeah,
to do.
but yeah, I would change that to a 4.
Hmm.
So yeah, there you go. Right, Winnie the Pooh.
Whew.
Pooh, Pooh. I actually had to watch this the other day because Jacob decided to have a marathon of all the Winnie the Pooh films.
Fair enough.
Uh, so yeah, I have actually recently watched this as well as all of the ones on Disney Plus. And yeah, um I gave it a 4 out of 5. Love this film, even though it's not like the rest of the film because it's 3 shorts put into one. It's almost like a package film.
Yes. Not
Um
going back.
and it's got a really strong first 2 episodes. The Tigger one, it's good, but it's nowhere near as good as the first 2.
No, and it's a bit mean
And
as well.
I know Rabbit is so horrible to him.
It's like, let's just go get him lost in the woods because I'm not keen.
I know.
Like, okay.
And
Do we
like,
need
yeah,
to
I
call
mean, there was
someone?
another, he had Springtime for Rue on, which obviously I couldn't even tell you what that film is about because as soon as like it gets in, I switch off. I switch off. I can't watch it. It's not the best. And even Finley turned around to me and was like, Mummy, why is Rabbit so bad? Because he's bad in that film.
Ah, you see, he's not
Not
very
bad as
nice.
in he's a villain, but like he's not nice in that film either.
I don't think he's nice in the Christmas one either.
No, he wants to fly swatter, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I'm sure he does something that's not very nice.
Mm.
I can't remember now. It's been
Whereas
such a long
in
time.
Winnie the Pooh, so the 2011 one,
Mm.
he's not horrible in that. He's actually funny in that.
Oh, that film's just, that, yeah, that should
That
be,
film is for adults. That film is not for kids.
that is a great, well, the thing is it's got so, like, I prefer that film to the original.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm not saying the original's bad. I give
Uh,
it a 3 out of 5. Um, but the 2011 one, it's just everything that Winnie the Pooh could and should be.
yeah.
And I think it's a shame that they kind of backtracked on that film. because that would be a really good follow up to what this film is. So
Well, we will get to that when we come to that time.
yes, well we should do it as a special.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, I'm sticking with my 4 out of 5, just simply because the Tigger one is not as good. Um, but I mean, if I was to score them individually, the first two would be 5 out of 5 for me. And like I know them word for word, especially that first one, the honey tree. Because obviously it is the first, so I hear it the most. Because even Jacob won't really watch that third episode. He will only watch the first two. And then when he sort of remembers, oh yeah, I don't like this one, he switches it off and puts on like the Heffalump one or whatever other Winnie the Pooh film he's wanting to watch next.
I I mean I stand by my 3 out of 5. I think it's telling of this whole entire era
Mhm.
of Disney is there is nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing exceptional about it. So
Okay.
it just sticks with the three,
Okay. I
unlike
think as well, you can definitely tell, which I can't remember if it's touched on it or not, but like you can definitely see that, Walt was around the first two because we know that because they were released originally as shorts
yeah.
before he passed. And it is the Tigger one that he didn't see finished, albeit he approved for that to be the next one. And we know he had nothing to do with, although it's not part of this, but they released A Day for Eeyore, is it?
Yeah, Nancy, I liked that one more.
I can't remember it because it's not on Disney Plus. And I don't know how I saw it, how I had it on video. It must have been in
It
a
was at the
compilation with
end.
something else.
So the film was re-edited to have the four parts in it.
Oh,
And the day for Eeyore is at the end of the film. And then you have the bit where Christopher Robin goes off to.
yeah, to
Yeah.
school. I wonder why Disney Plus doesn't have it then. Why did it have to be so awkward?
Oh, I mean, some of the things that they do have and things that they don't have.
It's
Some of
just,
it
it
just,
should all just be on there.
yeah. And I can't imagine what they're even waiting for either.
I know.
Like, I think actually this year is the 40th anniversary of it, but it's like, I think it's 15 minutes long. It's no one is
Don't get
waiting
it.
for an anniversary. Just put it on.
Yeah, I just don't get anything that they had made or involved making should be on that. Um,
Yeah. Well, I think that with all the shorts, from the 40s, 30s,
Makes no
it should
sense
just
why
be on
they're
there.
being so picky.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is like a whole other debate. um, but yeah, right. The Rescuers. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5.
I went in for the four.
You did, yeah. My thing that annoyed me, if I remember rightly, was certain bits of the animation.
They cheaped out. They did cheap
Yeah,
out on the animation.
yeah. And like obviously, looking like remembering back at that episode, and we know that even Don Bluth um questioned some of the decision making in regards to the film. And clearly, I certainly feel it had an effect on how it looked. Um, because I just don't think it's the same as like what they did with Wish. I know they're completely miles apart
Mm.
in regards of when they were made, But obviously, when people saw the artwork for Wish, they, thought it was very strange looking and questioned, oh, is this 2D or is it CG? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And they have combined the two, and it has got that unfinished sort of look about it, but in an artistic way.
Yeah.
And some people didn't like it, some people do. It never bothered me, and I thought it was another sort of Easter egg to pay homage to the company.
Yeah.
So I liked it. But with Rescuers, especially because, there's a couple of like action type bits, and, you know, we're trying to get this um important story across where, this girl has been kidnapped and this horrible person is prepared to kill this girl
Hmm.
over a diamond. But yet you can't help but notice the animation, it just looks so unfinished.
That was one of my reasons for it not being a 5 out of 5 because I think the story is great. I think the characters are great. I think
Yeah.
the animation didn't bother me as much as it clearly bothers you. Uh, but what did bother me is the soundtrack. There's a
Uh-huh.
lot of scenes that don't have the incidental music, which would elevate it. It
Yes, I
feels
remember
like it's
that.
this feels like it's unfinished.
Yeah. Yeah, it
And
does.
that might be where you're coming from with the
Yes.
animation. Maybe you noticed that more, and I noticed the music more, but
Yeah.
it just felt unfinished.
Mhm.
But as a whole, I mean, I stick by my 4 out of 5. I love The Rescuers. I think it's a
Yeah,
great.
I mean, I'll watch it. Like we've recently watched it again. Jacob put it on, although he didn't sit and watch it, but I ended up watching it.
Fair enough.
So I've watched it again since. Um, and yeah, I mean, it does have really strong characters. And yeah, ultimately, strong characters and story, but that's really it. It's not got a soundtrack that I would put on. The
Hey,
songs are really sad.
I do have Tomorrow is Another Day on my Disney playlist.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I do. I think it's such a lovely song. But I think this film speaks to me because it's because of Penny in the orphanage.
Yeah,
And it's that scene where it's like, oh, they wanted this other girl.
yeah. I know it's
But
heartbreaking.
yeah, and that kind of was if I ever had kids, then I would adopt a child.
Yeah,
Which, yeah, that's where we're at. That's
yeah,
where I'm at in my life. So
yeah,
I'm that is the moment. I couldn't
yeah.
tell you at which point when I was watching that film that
Mhm.
that was the moment, like which time I watched it, but it's that moment where she's in the
Mhm.
orphanage and Rufus has to comfort her.
Yeah,
It's- yeah, and it's like it's that amount of emotion that
yeah.
could have completely changed my life because of that
Mhm.
film.
Aw.
So anyway, enough about changing my life. What about Fox and the
Um,
Hound?
yes, Fox and the Hound. Oh, I'm looking at my score now, and yeah, oh, I gave it a 2.5.
And I joined you 2.5.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna go back on this. Again, I can see like when we rewatched it, you can see that the issues were having an effect on making of the film. Again, it doesn't have a good soundtrack, albeit I will always sing when you're the best of friends. any chance I get.
Yeah, just like
Obviously, yeah, just like now. Obviously when it's needed. But
yes.
yeah, I do. That is like my go-to, if we're making fun of something and it's to do with being friends or whatever, I often do sing that song. But yeah, no, it's what were your thoughts?
And the film couldn't decide what it wanted to be. And, taking out of knowledge of what was going on in the background, the film is in two parts throughout. You've got the old style of Disney with the older style voices, the older style animation, the comedy of that, and then you've got the new side, which is trying to tell a really dark story.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they try to do that all together and it just doesn't work. I if and I talk about it more in the Black Cauldron one as well. If they was to, do you know what? We're going to make this a dark film and just went for it and
Mm-hmm.
trusted what we now know as the younger animators. I think it would be a brilliant film of its time,
Mm-hmm.
but as a Disney film, I I don't know why this was made.
Yeah, I mean, for me, looking back, the best bit and the bit that I'll, happily watch over and over is from when Big Mama finds um Todd as a cub to when Copper comes back
So
from
the first 10
and
minutes then.
yeah, and when he comes back and all of a sudden he's big
Yeah.
and he's a hunting dog. Because from that point on, it takes such a horrible turn. I mean, the fact that, the Tweed woman, so easily gives up Todd. And
Yeah.
she doesn't exactly take him anywhere far.
No.
Like, she just drives to the nearest forest.
Yeah, I mean
And it's
she
like she was asking for what's his name? Is it Hamish? No, the neighbor, the
yeah,
hunter,
come on.
to find him.
Yeah. And
Like
it's Amos.
Amos,
Yeah.
yeah, Amos, that's it. So yeah, and then obviously the fact is that they never become friends again, really.
And Todd never gets to go home.
No,
He has to live
Copper.
in the
Yeah,
forest, but Copper's sat there, laying next to the fire, and he's like, "Yep, this is the life for a hunting
yeah,
dog." As I say, I think if it had been ironically, a Don Bluth film,
yeah.
I
Which
think,
I know, and this is the one he left.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you can just see why he left. They were trying to do,
and it
they were
got
trying,
delayed because he left because he took so
yeah.
many animators with him.
The thing is, they were trying to make a Disney version of Watership Down, and
Yeah.
to put it into context, it's almost like doing a Titanic film, but with glove puppets. It's not going to work. You've got a really serious concept,
Mm-hmm.
and yet you've got a caterpillar floating around.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Again,
like,
a bit like the they've done this like in the Aristocats, with the dogs. The birds in the caterpillar really has no effect whatsoever on the story. And they have been put in there as like a comedy filler.
yeah, and it
And
was.
I get that obviously it's a nice sort of um imagery of the circle of life because you see him turn into the butterfly and they're shocked
Yeah,
because they don't expect him to turn into this butterfly. But was there need for it? No. And
you could
like
almost get rid of that, and I think it
I
would make it a
know,
better film.
and it's not enough Big Mama either. She was like this really strong character at the beginning, but then does it really
She just
help?
chuckles a bit later, and then that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Again, she didn't really progress the story.
no, I
She's just there to witness Vixen and Todd,
yeah,
ultimately
I
find
just
her.
I whereas we said the Rescuers was unfinished in terms of
Animation.
animation, soundtrack, and things, the Fox and the Hound feels even more unfinished.
Yeah.
There's nothing particular wrong with the animation, I don't think.
No, I feel the animation's actually quite good in it. It's more Disney, definitely more Disney.
Yeah, it feels like a first draft and
Yeah.
it needs a few overcoat. It needs to know what it's doing,
Mm.
which ironically, it they kind of knew what kind of program or film they were doing for the next one, um, the Black Cauldron, but as we know, it kind of went south a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Such a shame. And yeah, I mean, I only mentioned in last week's episode about the comment I made during this episode that if Don Bluth had made the Black Cauldron, it would have been better.
It, I mean, this is one. I gave this two different scores. I give it a Disney film score and I give it a film score
Mm,
because they're different. My film is a 5 out of 5, but Disney, as a Disney film, it's a
mm,
3 out of 5. It's middle of the road, like the majority of the others in this era.
yeah. I gave it a 3, and that was being kind.
You see, the thing is, I found it, there was funny bits in there. I think what it did is they knew what they wanted to make, but they just couldn't do it. And
And obviously, as we know, I mean, it took 5 years to make from when they started initially
yeah,
making this film. And so many things changed during this film.
yeah,
And right towards the end, when they were getting ready to complete, you know, new people were in charge and they took over
yeah.
and made the film even worse. Um,
They took out those darker adult bits. I mean, what's really annoying is at the time that they put this film out, they had Touchstone to release these
yeah.
darker, non-Disney things. And it was already, we had Splash the year before, and it they could have just kind of been like, you know what, might cut our losses a little bit as a
Mm-hmm.
Disney family film,
Mm-hmm.
keep the scary bits in and put it as a more adult film. And I think you would have had a bit more of a cult following, especially as it comes from the decade that gave us Neverending Story, Labyrinth, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Indiana Jones. There was Star Wars still happening in that era. You know, it's the decade for that kind of geek fan culture.
Yeah.
And I think if it had been released to its full potential as a grown-up animation, I think it'd be more fondly looked back on. But it's definitely not the film that it, the reputation the film has, it doesn't deserve.
Yeah, well, it is a shame, and I think that's why I said this at the end of that episode that this is one that I would be happy for them to remake
Yeah,
and do it properly. Get that book series out. Get a team of people in a room to develop a series for Disney Plus and do the books justice.
this is a Disney Plus series that could be put out now.
Yeah,
It would go up against Lord of the Rings,
exactly. Well, that's just come out. I
and
think
it,
that came out today on Amazon as we're recording it.
as we were,
The first episode was released today.
and you've got House of the Dragon, and
Yeah,
you
and
know,
they would have had one in there as well.
knowing the other storylines in the
Yeah.
actual books, because the film,
Well, they're just about to remake Harry Potter into a series.
oh well,
Um, what's his face? Andy Serkis released a photo the other day. Him and his team, they're doing a film about Gollum, and I think it's about how he became Gollum. So this fantasy storyline, they're coming
yeah,
back. And
and
even
Disney
like the
have,
current book series I'm reading, okay, it's a grown-up book series, but still, that's fantasy, fairies and whatnot, magic.
yeah,
Disney could have been riding the same wave if they thought to go back and think, out of all the films that we really should be remaking, this is one of
yeah,
them.
and also I think it would. It's almost like a for Disney. It's almost like a no-brainer for them
Mhm.
because they've got the IP that they can do it with. It would be a little bit more adult. They've got a streaming service. They're
Mhm.
already doing things like Marvel and Star Wars on there. Other streamers have kind of got these big fantasy programs, and like we've said, and Disney could literally go, do you know what? We've got this. Bang. You might not like the original. It's like with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. No one likes that film, the
No, but
1992 one,
the
but
series,
you
wow.
love the series.
Yeah.
And that's all they need to do. That it's there. So rather than rehashing whatever this Mufasa is going to be, or
Uh,
remaking God knows what else they're remaking.
well, we've got that awful Snow White.
Oh, I
Saying
mean,
awful, I mean, that's not really right of me to say because obviously I've not seen it. And, it's not fair on the people that have, that's worked hard on the film. And I'm not trying to take that away, but it was never wanted and it was never needed.
no,
Nobody asked for Snow White to be remade into a live action. And
no.
it's been cursed from the very beginning. Whereas, this animated film was cursed from the beginning and was just, ruined by, all the crap that was going on
Yeah,
again amongst the suits.
yeah.
And this is one that to rewrite their wrongs could do again and do it justice.
Yeah, I mean, I won't agree with rewrite their wrongs because I really like the film. But no, they could really do it. And if anything, it's almost like why haven't they? Like, because by the time that some bright spark gets the idea, the whole fantasy thing will be over.
I know, and it'll be too late. And then,
It will
um,
fail because everyone's bored of it. The market's
yeah,
saturated.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right. And then we have
Well, we
Three.
go back to Disney elements, don't we, in the next one?
Yeah, with
Um,
Oswald the Great Mouse Detective.
yes, which was my birthday movie. So the
Yes.
year I was born. And yeah, and it came out around the time of my birthday as well, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah,
And
yeah, when
we
we
recorded the episode, my birthday week.
yes.
Yes, good times, good times. Yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think the one thing I was missing from it was music, like just a slightly better soundtrack. But ultimately, I can put that film on, sit and enjoy it.
You see, I didn't. I give it a 2 out of 5.
Mm.
I I just didn't I didn't like what they did with the whole Sherlock Holmes character because I think the way that it's almost presented as a cliche of what that character is, and
Hmm.
it's like a Disney version of that cliche. And the storyline just seemed a little bit too simple for me. It didn't feel.
Well, it would, yeah. I mean, but it was for kids, Stephen.
No, I know it's for kids. I just mean this. I think as a 5 year old would this is the right age for a 5 year old. But if I was a parent going to the cinema taking a 5 year old with it, then I'd be a bit like, this has got nothing for me in it.
No, but remember, Disney didn't do that then.
No, it's
And
definitely
that's
a kids'
probably
film.
another reason why the previous film that we've just discussed didn't work either.
Yeah,
Because they tried to take, what could have been for adults and children and tried to make it just for children. And it just
yeah.
went over kids' heads.
It just it
But
just
yeah, I
didn't
mean,
sit right
don't get
with
me
me
wrong,
at
it's
all.
predictable, Basil. I'm not going to lie. But no, I enjoy it. I feel like it's got the, the animals again.
Just
It's a detective.
I just didn't connect with it,
Okay.
and it just I don't know. It didn't feel. I always forget about it, even when I've
Right.
writing the list of all of these films. I've even had to put Basil in really small writing because I forgot about it and I've had to write it in between.
Okay.
So for me, it's just forgettable. It's not awful,
No.
um, but yeah, it's just meh.
Oh well. But you didn't feel that way about the last one, did you?
I did not know.
No. So our final one from this block of episodes, and the last one before the Renaissance. Although
I kind
we
of class,
said it kind of starts here, really.
yeah,
But on paper, they begin it from The Little Mermaid. But
yeah. You see, I think,
us and even the, you know, like I rewatched that Waking Sleeping Beauty again the other day. I watch that all the time.
yeah, yeah,
And they even say, that Oliver and Company is what helped
yeah,
get Disney back because it was a hit
yeah.
and they needed a hit. So what was your score?
I give it a very good 4 out of 5.
Well, it was my first five.
It was.
Yeah.
I I'm not going to change my score
Okay.
on that one because it is a solid 4. It is a very solid 4.
But you gave it that because you know what's coming.
Yes.
Sorry, that was a yawn. I do
So
apologize. Yeah, you said, so I passed
it
it
was
on.
a bit it was a bit of comparison,
You know
really,
what we're about to come to.
what we're about to come to, and I had to kind of make sure that my scores kind of aligned.
Yeah.
And I put it on the exact same level as The Rescuers and Robin Hood, which both
Hmm.
got 4s.
Hmm.
And this, for me, although the music is brilliant in this film,
Oh yeah,
beyond brilliant.
yeah. It's definitely the best sound. Like this is like the first soundtrack really
Yeah,
that you could put on and listen to every single song. I mean, I have all the songs on my Disney playlist.
yeah. It
Um, it really annoys me that none of the songs are ever included in the Disney compilations that they release. And I have no idea why.
it's almost like they're embarrassed that this film exists in a way.
That's what made me always think that it was Billy Joel that did the music. So I thought it
Yeah,
was because he had the rights, but he didn't. He didn't
no.
write any of the songs.
And it just, I mean, I think it's only been in the last few years that you've been able to get Oliver and Company merchandise again. And
Yeah.
I
And
think
it's not been much.
no, and I think Disney is starting to realize that even their lesser popular films, shall we say, do have a fan base.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're kind of leaning towards Oliver and Company, Robin Hood, and The Fox and the Hound, weirdly, to kind of feed that market. But
Yeah.
to be honest with you, Oliver and Company, they could do so much more with.
Oh, I know.
And it has everything that you need from a Disney film. It has emotional bits, it has a great villain, it has funny characters, loads of different characters. The animation
Talking
is good,
animals.
talking animals. It just has everything. And
In
it,
New York City.
yeah, it just, I think more people should give that film a chance.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who is listening or has listened or whatever, and you haven't watched it in years or whatever,
Yeah,
put
go and
it
watch
on
it. Yeah,
because
put it on.
it's almost like it's the lost Disney classic because everyone forgets it exists in that for that
I
era.
think yeah, and I think a lot of it is to do with how the company has, sectioned the era
Yeah,
of, they start the Renaissance from the Little Mermaid.
yeah, and it
So
shouldn't be.
and Basil gets used a lot for um, you know, uh technological purposes
Mm,
because of the computer graphics that were
yeah,
used. So I think people have it, a lot of people mistake it, that it's Basil and then Little Mermaid
yeah, and
because they never ever bring up Oliver and Company.
no,
I mean, what I can't even remember, but I know they must have been in it. But I don't know what they were doing in the Once Upon a Studio. Now I remember seeing Basil, but I don't remember what Oliver or Dodger do, if that is even the characters that they've chosen. Like
yeah, Dodger,
they're just walking by.
yeah, yeah, they don't really, they don't have a scene.
No.
It's a bit like I think Bowler Hat Guy is just stood behind people, from Meet the Robinsons, is that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, which is a shame.
I think they, I think Dodger is sat on something to imitate the scene, where he's like on the piano.
On the piano. Oh, I'll have to rewatch it. Just an excuse, really, to
Yeah,
watch it again.
yeah, you have to keep watching that film.
Yes.
Short, sorry, but yeah, I mean, I think what didn't help is because of the kind of Disney were not leading the way with films at this point, especially not animated or kids' films or family films. And it came out at the same time as The Land Before Time. It
Yeah.
which Don Bluth.
Luckily, luckily it did beat Land Before Time, though.
It did. I think it's, but at the time, Don Bluth was known as a animator, animation studios that were producing good films.
Well, he'd had the hit for, he'd beat Basil with An American Tail.
Yeah. And
So,
it's almost like now, would you go to like Illumination or Disney for a fun animated film?
mm,
And I think over the last few years, I think people kind of lean a little bit more towards Illumination. Just
yeah,
like
because I mean,
in the early 2000s, it was Pixar. You didn't
mm,
go to Disney to get yourself a
yeah,
good family film. You went to Pixar. And I think that's why Basil probably just falls behind a little bit because even when it was re-released after the Renaissance.
yeah.
And it's like, no, this should have been out there at the same time as like The Lion King and stuff. You should be re-releasing it then.
I
So
think as well that, you know, we pointed out is in the when we talked about Oliver and Company is that this really was, like, as in Oliver and Company, was the first time that they really take advantage of the cast and they
yeah,
use it for their advertising.
yeah,
I mean, and they have a star-studded cast. This to me is the first, you know, and like they're all, most of them are still alive as well
yeah.
and still going,
It,
which is why it's so surprising that people forget about it
yeah,
because even the cast alone, how could you forget? Billy Joel and Bette Midler.
yeah. Especially
Just
like,
don't get that.
I mean, you could say, oh, Billy Joel, is he really current? But Bette Midler, everyone knows who Bette Midler is. You've got a Disney film where she is singing as a poodle, and the poodle starts barking in the middle of the film. Bette Midler barks.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that, I mean,
If there was a film that is underrated and doesn't deserve to be underrated, this is it.
yeah,
The fact that even the music doesn't get included in their, compilations
yeah,
alone shows how underrated this film is and how it's, you know, forgotten by the company themselves.
yeah. And it's like you would have thought that they would have been a bit more forward on that. I mean, Georgette is a good, like, a character to kind of milk with
Yeah,
merchandising.
yeah,
Oliver, it's a little ginger cat. Like,
uh,
stop plugging Marie and put Oliver out
yeah.
because it's a better character, it's a better film, and yeah,
And it's an amazing soundtrack.
yeah,
The songs are so good. Like this
yeah.
is definitely in my top five soundtracks
Oh yeah, easily,
for Disney. Definitely.
easily.
Um, so yeah, so that's the rundown of
Well, last time we did a overview, we kind of picked which our favorite podcast episode was, and last time we picked Peter Pan from that block.
oh yeah.
Um, I stand by the Peter Pan from that block,
Uh-huh.
uh, but for this kind of block, and it's no bias at all, but I kind of think that the Black Cauldron was my favorite.
Oh, I thought our Mary Poppins one was funny.
Yeah,
I think because we do a lot of impressions and we sing
yeah,
a lot.
I think what it was is I was able to. I enjoy. I think it was a personal thing. I think it is a
Yeah,
biased personal thing because I enjoyed finding all of the facts. I enjoyed
yeah.
finding as much as I could to make.
Mhm.
I mean, I genuinely believe that our podcast is the only place where all of these facts are all in one place for that film.
Yeah.
Like that.
But if we're wrong, please tell us and send us a link to the other podcast they've done so.
Yeah, I don't think there is. I do not think there is. But so that to me is probably why I enjoyed
Yeah.
that so much, because that's, when we wanted to do this podcast, sharing facts was kind of like high up on my
Yeah.
agenda. And I just felt that one was a really, really good example of that. So
And yet, currently, I mean, we just spoke about how, Oliver and Company is like forgotten about a lot. And it could be the reason why I'm about to say what I'm about to say.
mhm.
But currently, while we're recording this, um, Oliver and Company is in our top 10 most listened podcast episodes. And it's number 5 or 6.
And it
And
just
I,
goes to show that there is a need. I mean, next time I
yeah.
see Bob at the
Yes.
at the all-inclusive buffet thing next time we go to Disneyland Paris, um, I'll mention it to him.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so when we get some Christmas ornaments and some plush and pins, it's because I had a word in his ear.
Right,
So
good.
you can thank me later.
I will. I will. Well, thank you all for listening. Yeah, it was nice going back and remembering why we scored what we scored. And obviously, I've changed a score.
Yes, had a bit of an update.
Yeah, so that's good.
I Yeah, I mean, it's nice to look at this era because it is known as the Dark Ages, the Disney Dark
Yeah.
Ages. I don't believe that's the case. Um, so actually looking at these films, giving them the love that they all deserve, whether I
Yeah.
rated them to Mary Poppins or
Mary
or
Poppins.
or higher, um, they all deserve some love and they're all someone's favorite. And I think it's nice that, when we look at the episode length, that we've spent the exact same amount of time and
Yeah.
as we did on, the earlier ones and the
Yeah.
more popular one.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it just made me excited for what is to come.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say that Oliver and Company is the one that makes me excited for that era.
Hmm.
Obviously, we take a bit of a sidestep before we get there with another film that belongs in the Renaissance era. Um, so yeah, we've got a very different period of Disney ahead of us to what we've just done.
Yeah. But before we get to that, we do have another bonus episode
Yes.
coming next week.
Yeah.
So, like we honored Mary Poppins, there's another film we've chosen to honor. So tune in to find out. And remember, you can follow us on Threads, TikTok, Instagram. You can subscribe and listen to the podcast on YouTube, as well as listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Have I missed anything out?
You can drop us an email. So
Yeah.
we are really when we're looking at the Renaissance and beyond, we would like to know what your opinions are, what your
Yeah.
favorite films are. We've got some very exciting guests. Uh,
Yes, we're trying to get a guest on for almost every episode of this the special time. Um
so
so yeah,
if you would like to be a part of that, please drop us an email.
yes.
Um, and
And if you enjoyed this episode or any other episodes, please leave us a review, as it would really help because we'd like to go further up the ladder when people are searching Disney podcasts.
Yeah, share it with your friends. This is the place to get your Disney facts.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
We are the Jamie and Stephen show.
Yes. And Jamie's tired now. So
Yes, yes. Jamie's been yawning for about 10 minutes now. um,
so yeah, good night, Stephen.
Good night, Jamie.
Yeah.
TTFN.
Bye.
Bye.